Hello and welcome back to the FIT40 Podcast, where we simplify exercise and nutrition for busy parents 40 plus so you can improve their health and feel amazing. I'm your host, Brian Fitzsimmons, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach for people over 40 since 2015. And today we got another awesome topic on deck. So if you have ever crushed a diet, lost weight, and then gained it all right back, I would bet a lot of money it had nothing to do with willpower. Because let's be honest, you lost a ton of weight. That takes a lot of willpower. So clearly that's not the issue. Chances are it was probably poor planning. So this episode, we're going to talk about exactly how to fix that. But before we do, make sure if you aren't already, go and hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you're watching or listening so that way you don't miss another episode, because I'm putting out 2 a week, every single week, Monday and Thursday. So you are always loaded with awesome knowledge that you can hear on the weekly, keep you motivated, keep you educated, and keep you on the right path. All right, so let's talk about it. Before I go into exactly how to fix it, let's start with what brought this on, because this is around that time of year where I reach out to old clients and I'm like, hey, how's everything going? I want to make sure you still are keeping your results and all that good stuff, because that's my goal at the end of the day, is for people to be better off once they're done with coaching. So obviously not everybody kept their results, because that's just the law of averages. Some people are going to struggle. They've got life stuff going on that knocked them off. And this is why a lot of people do need coaching in spurts here and there. Like maybe the first time did a good job, but they got to jump on again to really learn some things that they missed the first time. And that happens. Okay. But I noticed a bit of a trend. Those that struggle, that are struggling currently, didn't really master the health first stuff. And they never really understood what maintenance felt like, because I always give people the option, because I give autonomy. I want you guys making decisions for yourself. But I say in the beginning, I'm like, hey, we could go about this 2 different ways. Number one, I could just put you in the calorie deficit, get you some quick hits, some good results really fast, so you see the scale drop, and then we build momentum from there. Or if you've got the patience for it and you want to do this the right way, let's do this in a health first way, where we make sure that we have these healthy habits solidified that don't guarantee that we lose weight right away, but it sets the foundation so that you will be able to do this no problem going forward, and it'll be substantially easier to keep it off in the long term. And those who did do that aren't really struggling right now. Those people that didn't take the quick fix mentality and said, okay, I want to do this the right way, so it's the last time, those are the ones that are really doing well right now. Because most people take that first option. They do a quick fix 30-day program, and maybe they're not even with a coach that tells them what's down the road. They just have this program that they saw on social media, or this influencer told them about, and they're like, this is going to burn belly fat in 2 weeks. And then they jump on it, they deprive themselves, they lose a little bit of weight in that time frame, and they're like, well, this works, it made me lose weight, but then they gain it all right back. So now we're like, did that actually work, or did it just trick you into starving yourself for a couple of weeks? And then they go right back into their old way of eating. So we get back to the standard American diet, gain all that weight back, worsen our health, and now we have less muscle mass on top of that, so we're worse metabolically, and we just keep doing that over the years, and it turns into this shitstorm where we have brittle bones, low muscle mass, high body fat, and we're in such a bad place. And many people are in that place right now because we have this mentality of, I'm just going to deprive myself, then I'm going to learn how to do this right. But that's not how this works. You don't just get to the destination with a completely different version of how you're going to live and then all of a sudden click it into gear and say, okay, I'm going to do all the right things now. No, that's bullshit. You know it is. It's just that impatience kicking in and this all or nothing bullshit mentality holding you back. So let's talk about what actually needs to happen. First, we got to get healthy. Okay, we got to put that health first mentality at the forefront. And then second is to create a new identity, because if you keep going back to that old version of yourself, you're going to end up as the old version of yourself. So we need to see ourselves in a different light. We need to take different actions that line up with this new version of ourselves, that keep us fit, that keep us healthy, that keep us energized, so we're living a high quality life. So let's talk about how to do it. Now, this actually comes from that yearly review that I did, because I'm always trying to make the best system possible. And the first draft is never perfect. No matter what book you read, no matter what program you see, it's always been edited multiple times. There's a guy, Eric Cressy, who is the head of human performance for the New York Yankees. And he said in one of his conferences that I went to back in the day, he's like, if you're not looking at the programs that you wrote 6 months ago, a year ago, and you're not like, oh, God, like that's bad, then you're not learning enough. Okay. So this is like version 3 of my coaching system that I'm implementing with my clients. And it's called Restore, Redefine, and Thrive. All right. So very similar to what I've talked about in the past, but like that next version better. Okay. So what's Restore? It's that health first mentality. We make sure that we're in a place where your body is operating at its absolute best before we jump into a calorie budget or any of that stuff. Okay. So we make sure you're getting enough steps. We make sure that exercise is a consistent part of your life, not just you squeezing in workouts whenever the week doesn't happen to be complete shit. No, you learn how to turn that dial up and down depending on where you're at in that season of life. So you learn how to say, you know what, this week is completely nuts. I'm going to try and get 1 or 2 20-minute workouts in when the baby's down for a nap, or maybe on the weekend when Johnny's at soccer practice, I'm going to go and get some steps in, or I'm going to go to the gym that's 2 miles away and then pick them up after my workout. And that's how you factor that into your life. And we're not dealing with the stress of, oh, we got to keep our calories where they need to be. All right. And when it comes to nutrition, we master PFC, protein, fiber, color. When you can put PFC on the plate and it's one standard size plate, that keeps you in such a good place. And along with that, if you caught the most recent podcast episode where I talked about alcohol and how important sleep is, we make sure that your sleep quality is good. We make sure that it's as good as it's capable of being, because a lot of people do, unfortunately, have to sacrifice sleep. Maybe they got young kids, animals waking them up. Maybe they live in a neighborhood that's just really noisy and they can't really get the best quality of sleep. We say, you know what, given your whole circumstance, what's the best we're capable of right now? And every single week I give out a weekly check-in that we keep track of what's called SHMEC. Sleep, hunger, mood, energy, and cravings. And on there is a sleep quality score, like 1 to 5. So we make sure that it's at least a 3 or better. And along with all that, we make sure that we have stress management skills and options that don't involve exercise or food or booze. I feel like I have to throw that in there based on last podcast. But make sure that like there's nothing that could get in your way of regulating your mood, because a lot of times I do have people who experience injuries and they're avid runners, and the whole reason they love running is because they get to go out and clear their head and work through their thoughts, which is awesome. But what happens when you can't do that? Then we're setting ourselves up for failure. We don't want that to happen. So you got to have something in your back pocket. And that way, mentally and physically, we are health first. Okay, so that's restore. Then there's redefine. This is where we define our body. We get that definition. Okay, we take it up a notch and we say, okay, this is your calorie budget, which is most likely going to be higher because now you're doing all these healthy things. So you're burning more calories overall, so you can eat more while losing weight. And I also forgot to mention that in this health first, a lot of people still see the results they want to see, because when you do these healthy habits, you kind of naturally find yourself in a calorie deficit already. So with this calorie budget being in place, it's like you've already seen results, but then we crank it up to another notch and you see the results faster. Okay. So even though technically it would take longer than jumping right into a calorie deficit, you'll probably see the same, if not better results in that time frame. And it's going to feel substantially easier. So why not just do it that way in the beginning? Because now, being where I'm at right now, I'm not given the option, you want to do this fast or slow. It's like, hey, we're doing this the right way or not at all. And that's just what I'm doing going forward. Okay. So we got our calorie budget, and then also we work on protein and fiber gram goals. So it's good to get it on the plate and make sure it's there, but how much do we need to really optimize results to make sure that we're doing everything we can from a health standpoint to make sure that we get like about a gram of protein per pound of lean body mass, or 0.7 grams per pound of total body weight? Making sure that we're getting at least 25 to 35 or more grams of fiber in our day. And we also can control for sodium and saturated fats. So making sure that our sodium levels aren't through the roof, and making sure that our saturated fat is not super high. So that way our cholesterol, our blood pressure, and all these good things that also impact our health are now in a good place. And we learn how to weave it all in, because if you try and do just one of these things, yeah, you're going to get that thing down. Like sodium, for example, you'll bring the sodium down, but let's say you find all these options that are super high in saturated fat. It's like, well, then we're robbing Paul to pay Peter, or whatever that expression is. Okay. You want to learn how to get it all and learn how it flows all together. And more times than not, it does result in basics like eating mostly whole foods. So we find our way back to these basics by going into the weeds a little bit and understanding the why behind it all and exactly what to look for on nutrition labels and exactly how to handle certain situations where maybe you don't have all of this information available to you. Like, what do you do when you aren't able to track everything? That's also a very big part of this phase. And then once we've done that and we've hit this point where we're like, I love the way my body feels, I love the way it looks, I want to live like this forever, we learn how to do that. Okay. We go into the third phase, which is thrive. Okay. That's where we reverse diet. If you've never heard of a reverse diet, basically it's slowly increasing your calories to a point where you can maintain on more calories than you dieted, because you should not be in a calorie deficit for your entire life. You should not be eating the same amount of food, diet foods, forever. Okay. That's where people take don't jump on a diet if you can't eat this way forever a little bit too literally. You should be eating the same types of foods, but different quantities. So eating high quality food, but now we're increasing the amount, which is awesome, because then you might find yourself in a place like, I know, for example, Kristen, if you've ever caught her podcast episodes in the past, and I think, yeah, Valerie too, we've had conversations recently where the two of them are like, listen, I know you want me to increase my calories, and Derek as well, who I just had on recently, we've had these conversations like, I know you want me to bring these calories up, but I physically can't eat this much. And I'm like, so what you're telling me is that we physically can't eat enough to gain weight. And they're like, oh, wow. Yeah, that's what could possibly happen. I'm not saying this happens for every single person, because there are some people, maybe those on GLP-1s right now, who know that food noise is so damn apparent and it's constantly there that it makes it harder. So, not saying this is for everybody, but it is a possibility. And honestly, isn't it worth trying to find out if maybe that is you? Because that'd be freaking awesome. Like, not having to worry about ever gaining a pound because now you're so good at all these healthy habits that it's impossible for you. And then along with that, once we've hit that point, we wean off of the trackers, because you should be able to do this without inputting every little thing into MyFitnessPal or Chronometer, or take your pick, lose it, whatever. Okay, you should be able to do this just by saying, hey, this is kind of how I eat. Kind of like the old school bodybuilders would, where they didn't measure everything to the gram. They would say, hey, when I eat steak, I eat this much. When I eat mashed potatoes, I have this much, because that's their new norm, their new portion sizes. And they're like, I eat this way normally. I don't have to really track it because I just eat the same thing all the time. Or I know when I have this meal, this is what I have. And like I said, it allows you to maintain your results pretty effortlessly, but you got to put in the work to get to the point where it's effortless, because make no mistake, I've heard this a couple of times lately where people say, I just want this to be easy. And I get it. I want it to be easy. Like, we all want it to be easy, because that means that we don't have to add another thing to our plate. But everyone has to go through that hard period. Everyone has to really focus in and say, hey, I need to change. Change is hard, but when you change and you make the same decisions over and over and over again that line up with this new identity that says, hey, I prioritize this stuff, I care about this stuff, I'm going to make a conscious effort to do this. Eventually you keep doing it and doing it and doing it until it's your norm. And then when it's your norm, it's like, oh, well, this doesn't really take as much effort on my part to make myself do this. And that's just part of the process. And like I said with the identity thing, as you go through this whole process, you start to shift a little bit. You start to see yourself in a different light. You start making these choices that line up with this person that you want to be. And that's what we talk about literally on day one, is like your fit you. What does that look like? What do they do that you're not doing right now? What are they prioritizing that maybe we don't prioritize right now? And as you go through the process, you solidify it day after day after day until you are a new version of yourself. And that's really what the end goal is. So all this being said, if you want to give it a try for yourself, go right ahead. Highly, highly recommend it. Give it a try. But at the end of the day, most people do need that accountability, because they're so busy that they just need to outsource their fitness and nutrition and say, can you just tell me what to do? And that's what I'm here for. Or they say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give it my all. And then they get stuck in this all or nothing mentality where they try and do everything all at once and then they just give up. So then they just get stuck. So that type of person, I'm also very well versed in helping. So if you are that person, do this for yourself. Okay. Don't keep kidding yourself and saying, I know what to do. I just got to do it. You can say that until the cows come home. It's going to put it off for years and years and years and years. And you're going to keep moving in whatever trajectory that is for years and years and years. So nip it in the bud, reach out for help if you need it. I'm always here. Okay. So all you have to do is go ahead and click that coaching consultation link down below, and we can hop on a call and make sure that this is the last time you're ever going to have to diet. You just get right where you want to be and you stay there for life and you thrive going forward. All right. So thank you for listening. I will see you next time. But until then, go kick some ass. Bye-bye.